Welcome back to the Madlanga Commission, and sitting, of course, at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College here in the nation's capital, Pretoria. And it is day 52, and I'm joined by Ambassador Andy Mashaile. He's, of course, a retired Interpol Ambassador and a security strategist. Always a pleasure having you, Mr. Mashaile. And just to get straight into it, you've said previously that worse is still to come in terms of what we are going to hear. You still maintain that,
Sakina,
even though we've heard some harrowing testimony?
Sakina, good morning to you and to the production crew. Yes, the West is yet to come. Why am I thinking that the West is yet to come? The evidence that comes through, that's being led, the accusations and counter-accusations. And remember, there's going to be another round for General Mkhwanazi to come and tie the loose ends. Why am I saying the West is yet to come? Who is lying between witness B and Captain Makotla with regard to the ballistics report? The two versions. As ordinary members of the public, who must we believe between the two of them? We will have to leave that with Ntate Madlanga and the commission to determine who is lying between the two. Besides that, there are certain dynamics that are playing out, including the Senona over the weekend story between himself and allegedly General Mkhwanazi, being kicked out, being in hiding. Hiding from who? These are some of the West that I'm talking about. If General Mkhwanazi wanted to punch him in the face, he knows where he is, he would have gone there. And if he says he's fearing for his life, fearing from who? Who wants to do what to him? And if they find him, what will they do to him? God forbid that the West should happen to General Senona.
And the question is also why? Because given the evidence that has led, who would have anything to gain from basically attacking him? Why? Why would they do that?
Sakina, this is interesting. There are people who are connected to those that have been mentioned in the Commission's books and in the Commission's time and space. Those people have derived benefits from their relationships with people like General Senona and many others, Sakina. Those who have benefited, those who have bought expensive cars, those who have mansions, those who have bought farms, wouldn't want part of their dirty linen to play out in the court cases that are going to follow. You and I know that in the interim report, there are names that have been outed for further investigation and simply put arrests. So what is going to happen to those who gave us 50 cents to buy this so that they can get that in return? That's the West that's coming.
So if you look at yesterday's testimony by Captain Makotla and of witness B that you mentioned, what does this say about institutional coherence within SAPS? Because these two accounts are mutually exclusive. You know, they could not both be correct, or could they?
They cannot be. It tells you that the system has some weaknesses. What I have always referred to in our conversation, there are systemic weaknesses. Some of them are engineered weaknesses because those who sit and write those reports talking about the ballistics of the firearms and the bullets that and the cartridges that are found. Those who have shot those from those firearms, those cartridges and those bullet cores know who is at the forensic science laboratory, knows who makes decision. What is the possibility that those reports can be doctored from the lab itself because of the influence of the cartels and many of the challenges that we have seen. We are not suggesting or implying that the reports are doctored. There is a possibility that those things can happen. If you can have rogue police officers at police station A, at unit A, at higher level Silvertons of the world, the national head office. So there are some serious challenges that would inform the systemic and systematic challenges that we are seeing coming out to play in the space of the Madlanga Commission.
But Captain Mkhwanazi trying to explain how easy it is for the sort of mistakes that could have been made to creep in. And again, speaks to systemic weaknesses within the actual operational system that they use at the forensics lab in terms of ballistics. And what do you make of that? You know, because it could very well have been a mistake, or it could have been sinister. And that raises so many questions on how do you go about determining that?
SK, how do I ensure that the one who issues out a certificate, who signs a certificate, did a thorough piece of work informing on the dynamics of the situation at hand, those ballistics? SK, I felt a bit uncomfortable for those PKTT members having to wait for the senior who was supposed to issue out a certificate, quickly writing or looking into the report and quickly issuing out the report. It means there might be oversights or there might be information that is in your blind spots. So those Skotoma moments in the mind of the system, those who must double check, double check and recheck the report. You can't do that in 15 minutes. Or maybe I am naive, you and I are naive. We are thorough, we are stickler for details, you and I. I would expect the senior who issues out the report, who signs it off, to be a stickler for details. Go through it. You don't have to tell me that you have experience in only looking at the numbers and picking that up. What if there is a number that would need for you to recalculate the whole report? So, quite correct, systemic weaknesses informing on the wrong outcomes of that whole investigation and letting go of someone who killed someone or some person who killed a certain members of the communities, brother, father, uncle, that kind of stuff. So the system has some weaknesses, and that weakness becomes now systematic.
But one could also argue that it is by design, because by now you cannot tell me in 2026 those weaknesses have not been identified a long time ago. And if so, why haven't they been fixed? Because the outcomes of whatever those reports ultimately come to are crucial. It's the difference between prosecuting successfully and criminals going free.
You're quite correct, Sakina. When I listened to the captain yesterday talking about the resources that are not up to par, comparatively speaking, with other forensic science laboratories in other policing environments outside of South Africa worldwide, you realize that we'd rather save money and give cheap reports that inform wrongly on the decisions that are supposed to be made. So I think some of us must make the call and say, invest more money in the forensic science laboratory. Get the necessary tools. Get the necessary technology so that at the end of the day, we have trust in that whole system, because we are confident that the laptop that you're using and the software or the hardware that you are using provides the employees or those who are doing the analysts provides them with the necessary peace of mind in them doing their job.
And again, when witness B was testifying, that was last year, she also pointed to the fact that a report was deleted at some point. Now, again, in 2025, 2026, 2024, the technology already exists that could safe-proof against things like that. Because if you think of something as simple as blockchain technology, you would be able to have a digital footprint of who deleted, when they deleted, what was deleted. The fact that we still don't have those, or there seems to be resistance to implementing or bringing in technology that would assist the police, that is something that needs to be addressed as well.
Sakina, it does not need to be addressed. What we need to say to government as citizens, get that technology in the forensics science laboratory. Those who are charged with the responsibility of developing the budget, the operational budget, make sure that it does not matter what the expense is with regard to getting that technology. Why am I saying it should not matter from a budget point of view? You and I know that department sent money back to Treasury for not having it spent that money. Ring fence that money from Treasury, have your own targets as Treasury, and say this money is going to be put forth to the operations, to the efficient and effective running of the FSL technology, so that at the end of the day, we stabilize this hotspot that policing has become, so that it can be normalized from an operations point of view. For us to be able to have sound economy, investors coming here, and the economy performing successfully, we need a stable police. We need a police that will be able to do the necessary investigations.
But you've also said previously, Ambassador Mashaile, that the community sees police as criminals. And I think for many people, that is their reality. Even at the lowest level of police officers at the various police stations, people come into contact with that criminal activity every day, where police are on the take, where those who have money can buy their way out of trouble. So how do we go about changing that?
Sakina, we must ensure, amongst other things, that police in our country have body cams, body cameras. We must ensure that those police vans have 360 cameras. When he gets out of the car, that 360 camera kicks in, so that we can be able to capture what is happening between that police officer and that vehicle that has been stopped. And you don't need members of the community to come and stick their head inside a police car. You want the policeman to get out of the car, so that the body cam as well as the 360 cameras around the car are able to capture the conversation as well as the images, so that those who are on the take can explain why is it that you got out of the car and your body cam was not recording, and your 360 cameras around your police vehicle are not functional or did not automatically kick in. It's one way that you can begin to make those members of the community who are corrupt not to play with police officers when they are on duty. Off duty, you'll have to do your necessary crime intelligence.
So if we're looking at this systemic rot within the South African police services, we've seen year after year reports of police officers with criminal records. How do we clean this up? Because the reality is we can't fix South Africa unless and until we fix the police. So that has to be the starting point. How do we fix it?
Very simple, Sakina, from whence I stand. One, those officers who have appealed their convictions, criminal convictions from the courts of law, they must not wear uniform. Some of them are wearing uniform, as you and I are speaking. They must not wear uniform. They must stay at home until their appeals are heard. And how many years does it take for that appeal to be heard needs to be another aspect within the judicial system that we have to look at. If this police officer or police officer X was convicted and he has appealed, does the appeal really have to take 5 years with that officer wearing uniform, that officer jumping into a police car, that officer coming to your house? Some of them thinking that the members of the community don't know that they are convicted. That shouldn't happen. Those who are convicted must not be in uniform and must not be driving cars until their appeals are finalized. Things that happen outside here, Sakina, are very scary. So, long story short, or in closing, we have a responsibility to ensure that those who are charged with crimes get out of the system until their cases are heard and finalized.
But as you know, and as you've just indicated, that's not our reality. And then we've known, but I guess this commission has laid bare just how bad the situation is and just how high up this rot goes. So if someone were to be appointed, how do they start cleaning this up, given the fact that police officers themselves, not only through this commission, but as we've heard before this as well, are implicated in very serious criminal activity, aiding and abetting sometimes the criminals themselves and their activities?
I'm giggling because yesterday in my talks and in my research works, one police officer says, "No, Baba Mashaile, we see you and the media talking about some of the police officers who are corrupt. Those who are being investigated have now given us an opportunity. It's our time to eat," and that's a junior police officer who's not on duty. So this says to you and I, we need an earthquake kind of approach in transforming the police. And if you say, what do you think, what do you mean by earthquake kind of an approach? For now, we know that Mkhwanazi's, General Mkhwanazi's contract might be renewed. Renew his contract, take him from KZN, negotiate with Masemola, give Masemola a beautiful package, early retirement, put Mkhwanazi there. The tree of policing in South Africa will be shaken, and those apples that are rotten will fall by their wayside, and offer severance packages to some of those who you don't really trust based on their records and many other things that have happened that would betray trust. Get new police officers on the take of the system. Who are you talking about? You have a police officer who said when he was giving testimony, "I can die peacefully. I'm not fearful of anything. I've done my investigations." That police officer has nothing to lose. Give him a position of responsibility. Give him targets. Your targets would be when we are in Gauteng. Bring us okapis. Bring us the hijacked vehicle. Bring the firearm that was used to hijack, and bring us the hijacker. That's the target that you set. Police in Gauteng between 2010 and 2013 really did the work. If we could move Gauteng from position number 9, which was the capital city of crime, to position number 1 during the times of Mzwandile Petros, it means you can be able to turn policing in South Africa. If you're able to stop cash in transit heist, ATM bombings, reduce your bank followings, reduce your truck hijackings on the N3, and ensure that many other crimes are reduced, it means we can turn South Africa around.
Well, And then what changed? We have to leave it there, unfortunately, for now. Thanks so much to Ambassador Andy Mashaile. But for now, it's 8 o'clock. Let's bring you up to speed with the latest news. Leanne?